Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte, and let's get to it. We have a couple of things we want to discuss today. A lot of good news and some I won't say bad news, because it's not a matter of... it's not something that one would consider awful, I guess. Just a lot of goings on to discuss. So let's go ahead and get into that. First of all, let's give you a quick injury update. Michael Pineda had, through 68 pitches, 42 for strikes tonight in a rehab start for the Toledo Mud Hens. He allowed 2 runs. He will probably be starting on Friday. And I say that because you've got Tarek Skubal going on Tuesday, probably because Brisky went today. So you'll have Skubal going on Tuesday, probably Ronnie Garcia going on Wednesday. And then, of course, the Tigers have an off day on Thursday. So you'll probably see Pineda go on Friday. And then Faedo go on Saturday, or vice versa. So at the end of the day, the Tigers are getting him back, and they could use him. He's a veteran presence. Right now, Alex Faedo is the oldest person in that starting rotation at age 26. So that should tell you something about the youth of the Tigers rotation. Jose Cisnero is still recovering from his Achilles that he injured while doing rehab work in Lakeland. So he was playing catch, somehow injured his Achilles, had some swelling, and they're working on that. Matt Manning is tossing up to 90 feet, and they had some work to do with him on his mechanics. Apparently he wasn't mechanically sound, and so that was what caused the aggravation of the shoulder inflammation that put him on the IL in the first place. So that is what's going on as far as your injuries. Now let's go ahead and have a quick discussion about things that have been going on. As I mentioned last week, the Tigers released Jacob Barnes. They designated Drew Hutchison for assignment last Sunday. He decided to go for free agency instead of going back to Toledo. So he's gone. He's been released, and now they could re-sign him to a minor league contract, much like they did the last time. Or they could go ahead and part ways with him completely. The Tigers also traded catcher Ryan Lavarnway to Florida and Trace Thompson to the Dodgers. I'm not sure what they got back in return for Lavarnway, but they got cash back from the Dodgers for Trace Thompson, which, let's face it, if you're an outfielder in the Tigers minor league system, your chances of being up in the big leagues are looking kind of cloudy. Austin Meadows has cleared COVID protocols and will probably rejoin the Tigers this weekend. Daz Cameron has cleared COVID protocols, and has actually gone on a rehab assignment. But I honestly don't know really what's going to happen with him. Because the simple fact is, right now you've got to have 13 position players and 13 pitchers. The Tigers are going to go with a 5-man starting rotation and an 8-man bullpen, and that's your 13 pitchers. And let's think about the depth chart. Ahead of Daz Cameron, you've got Robbie Grossman, you've got Austin Meadows, you've got Riley Green, you've got Victor Reyes. Willie Castro has played some outfield lately and done a pretty decent job in doing that. They sent Derek Hill down, and Derek Hill is a better defensive center fielder, better defensive outfielder than Daz Cameron, arguably. So at the end of the day, if I'm Daz Cameron, I'm thinking, well, you know what? I might as well just accept the fact that I'm going to be here for a little bit. Now, that could change because people get hurt and people get COVID. And it's very possible that, well, let's just put it the way it is. It's about a month and a half. It's about 5 weeks until the trade deadline. The deadline is August 2nd. And so you could see a situation where Robbie Grossman gets traded because they've got less than a year left on his contract. It's August and September and the beginning of October, and then he's done. They owe him less than $10 million on that deal. Less than 5 actually. So it's a cheap pickup for a team that might be looking for a steady bat and a decent defender and a switch hitter to boot. Hey, why not? We'll talk about that in another episode of the podcast because that is something that I want to discuss, but I don't need to discuss it right now. Anyway, if you're an outfielder for the Tigers and you're in the minor league system, you know what? It's looking pretty crowded up here at the big league level. I mean, you got, like I said, you got Meadows, Reyes, Green, and Grossman, and Castro, and Cody Clemens for that matter. Hell, for that matter, you could say Harold Castro because Harold's played some outfield before. So I mean, there's for all intents and purposes, there's 7 outfielders for 3 spots. Something tells me it's going to be awfully difficult to crack that lineup. So that is a thing that the Tigers did. They traded Trace Thompson because he just wasn't going to get out of Toledo, and he had a better chance of actually making the big club in LA than he did in Detroit. So the Tigers got some cash for him and sent him on his merry way, and we wish him luck. So there's that. Ryan Lavarnway was he was a solid backup, and he was a good defensive catcher, and we also have Dustin Garneau, who is a solid backup and a good defensive catcher and sitting in Toledo. So in case Eric Haas or Tucker Barnhart gets hurt, we know who's going to get the first call. That's going to be Dustin Garneau. So that's the transactions, the latest in the transactions. There's been a few other things, but nothing of note to report. So let's go ahead and talk about the week that was for the Tigers. And it was an interesting week because, honestly, people are going to call me crazy, but a 2-4 week that wasn't as bad as it sounds. Now, when we last had a podcast on Monday, the Tigers had just split a series with Texas after having a players-only meeting where, after getting it absolutely handed to them by the Chicago White Sox. So they have this team meeting, and then they get beat 3-1 and 7-0, and then they go out and win 14-7 and 7-3. Good feelings, right? Riley Green is up. Their offense is clicking on all cylinders. The pitching has never been a problem. Things are going to go well. If you win 57 games out of the next 100, after that team meeting, you're going to make it to 81-81. Well, since that team meeting, they're 4-4. Oops. So what went wrong? Nothing. And here's the deal. Tigers right now are playing like the Tigers that I thought we would see. Okay? I was on record as saying that this team wasn't going to win more than 85 games, and then when Riley Green got hurt, I dropped that down to 83. And I was wrong. That was an overestimate on my part. But I didn't expect them to be, right now, according to an article that I read in The Athletic last week, by Ken Rosenthal, they are on a pace to win 62 and lose 100. I don't see them being that bad. The beautiful thing about being on pace to do things is you can actually exceed that pace, or you can go slower than that pace. We hope for the former and not the latter. So, at the end of the day, I honestly think the Tigers, are they going to win 57 games and make it to 81 and 81? Right now they're 28 and 44. So back at the 62 game mark, they were 24 and 38. So they've won 4 and lost 6. Well, I mean, that just means that they can only win. They got to win 49 and 30. Go 49 and 37 over the next 96 games. Sorry, 86 games. Do some quick math. Yeah, 86 games. They can do that. Will they? Probably not. Because let's not forget, they're playing, well, they've got 2 against the Giants this week, then they got 3 against the Royals and 4 against Cleveland. And they've still got the White Sox, and they've still got the Twins. And now, to be fair, the Twins, they've only got 7 more games with them, 7, maybe 8 more games with them. And a majority of those are home games. Because they've already played 6 road games at Minnesota. So I think they've got 3 more games in Minnesota left and 5 or 6 left in Detroit. So that's a possibility that they can make up some ground there. Because for whatever reason, they play better against Minnesota at home than they do in Minnesota, and it's been that way for a long time. But I digress. Can they go 49 or 47 and 39? Sorry, 49 and 37 in their next 86 games? They can. They probably won't. This team will probably win 77 games again, like they did last year. So they're at 24 wins right now, or sorry, 28 wins right now. That's another 38 wins. So basically, they're going 38 and 48. Over the next 86 games. And as long as they play like they have over the last week, I don't necessarily mind that. I'm not going to say that I can accept it, but it's something that I can I won't, okay, I can accept that. I can live with that. I won't enjoy living with that, but I can live with that because we won't be embarrassed. And we lost 6-2, 5-4, and 5-4. Or sorry, 6-2, 5-4, and 5-3 to Boston. Over the starting the week. And that was with Bo Brisky, Alex Faedo, and Tarek Skubal pitching. Tarek Skubal gave up 6 runs. Tarek Skubal's having some issues right now. We'll see how he does on Tuesday. Then we went out and we beat Arizona 5-1 and 6-3, and then lost 11-7. Now you're sitting there going, okay, so you're crowing about a 2-4 week, and you got 2 more to go against San Francisco on the road. You got to win both of those to have a 500 road trip, and you're happy about this? First of all, I'm happy that we only got to win 2 games to get a 500 road trip. I'm happy that we still have a chance to get a 500 road trip. Because 2 weeks ago, this team would not have a chance to have a 500 road trip. I point to the series with the Yankees. Okay? I point to the earlier series, the earlier road trip where they went to Minnesota and LA. And got it absolutely handed to them. You come home after a 1-5 road trip. That's not good. That doesn't bode well for you. That doesn't work well for you as a team. It doesn't work well for me as a fan. Oh, well, you're telling me that if they go 2-6 on the road, that everything is going to be good? Depends. If they go 2-6 on the road and they play the way that they've played over the last 6 games, yeah, I can live with that. I can live with 3-5. I can live with 4-4. I would cheer for 4-4. Considering that you had 3 against Boston, 2 against San Francisco, 3 against Arizona. Granted, you should have swept the Diamondbacks when you had the chance. You had a 2-0 lead, then a 3-2 lead, then a 6-5 lead, and you end up losing 11-7. I wasn't impressed with that, but I was impressed with the way that they played. I was impressed with the fact that they were up 2-0. Arizona comes back and ties it at 2. The very next inning, they take a 3-2 lead. Arizona comes back and ties it at 3. Then goes ahead 5-3. Detroit takes the lead 6-5. Courtesy of a 3-run homer by Eric Haas. Arizona then comes back and scores 6 runs and takes an 11-6 lead into the 9th, and the Tigers get a run back in the 9th at least. This is the team that I thought we would see at the beginning of the year. This is the team that battles every game, that plays a full 9 innings, that scraps. Are they going to lose more than they win? Probably, because they just don't have the talent level that the rest of the league has. And yes, I said that. I'm sorry, but Jeimer Candelario and Robbie Grossman and Miguel Cabrera and Jonathan Schoop and Tucker Barnhart aren't going to be game-winning. They're just not. They're not going to be. They're nice pieces, but to count on them the way that the Tigers have to count on them, it's just not. It's an awful big ask. It's too much to ask. You used to could count on Miguel Cabrera until about 2015. Now you can't. Jeimer Candelario is having a lost season. Robbie Grossman, when they changed the whole the makeup of the baseball, that spelled his downfall. He was a 2020 guy last year. He'll be lucky to be a 10-10 guy this year. Jonathan Schoop, he got off to too slow of a start. He's not going to come back and fix things. Tucker Barnhart, he's a .248 career hitter at best. So, what do you have to build on? Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, Austin Meadows. It's not a bad 3. Cody Clemens is solid. He's not going to lose any games for you. So from an offensive standpoint, this team just did not have what it took to hang with the White Sox and Cleveland and Minnesota and the Yankees and the Red Sox. And I knew that. But I figured their pitching would be enough and their offense would do just enough that they would be a difficult team to beat. And over the last 6 games, they've showed me that that's the case. Where this team was the first 66 games, I have no idea. Some of the things that I can take out of this whole last week, Javi Baez has hit 4 homers. He's really bringing on the extra base power, including a grand slam on Friday night. So he's playing better. He's made some spectacular plays in the field. Spencer Torkelson is starting to hit a little bit. Jonathan Scope, we mentioned how he wasn't somebody that you could build around. He's started to hit a little bit. Okay. So you've got players that are starting to put things together. So this team is going to be tough to beat. This team is going to be a scrappy team. And I like that. I can live with that. From the pitching side of things, things are starting to go a little bit south because, well, guess what? You've used your bullpen a ton. Bo Brisky gives you 4 2/3 innings, but this is after Alex Faedo only gave you 4 2/3 in Boston. And Tarek Skubal only gave you 4 in Boston. And Bo Brisky didn't pitch that well in Boston. Ronnie Garcia gave you 4 on Friday. Faedo gave you again another 4 2/3 yesterday. So you're asking your bullpen, instead of needing to get 9 outs, you're asking them to get 10, 11, 12, 14, 15 outs. And you're doing it on a daily basis. You just can't live that. You can't win that way. This bullpen, which was a very, very, very stable and solid part of this team, is now starting to look a little shaky, and that's only because they're getting tired out there. They're getting worn down out there. Guys that are used to specific roles, even though AJ Hinch has not identified and defined those roles, guys still understand where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do in that bullpen. And right now, because of the way things are, they're not able to do that. They can't pitch in the roles that they're used to, and so they're pitching out of the role that they want to be in or that they're ready to be in and that they've prepared for mentally, and now it's a little difficult. Oh, well, they're a major league pitcher. They should be able to pitch in any kind of situation, any kind of scenario. They should, but they're also human. Let's not forget that. So, as I mentioned, we got 2 against San Francisco Tuesday and Wednesday. Then there's an off day. There's an off day tomorrow, an off day Thursday. Friday marks the beginning of I believe, a 7-game homestand between the Tigers and Royals for 3, and then 4 against the Guardians, July 4th, 5th, and 6th. That includes a split doubleheader on the 4th. The Tigers, again, with another chance to make a little bit of noise in the division and win a couple division games. They're 28 and 44. The Royals are 26 and 45. So if the Tigers can really put it on the Royals, they can get some distance and actually be a little bit more solidly in 4th place. And at this point of the year, with the year that we've been having, that's an awful lot to have. That's an awful lot to bank on. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can at at Podcast Tigers on Twitter. Tigers Baseball Podcast at gmail.com is the email address. It's the world's longest email address. Thank you to Anchor for distributing the podcast. Thank you to YouTube. Thank you for those who are watching me on YouTube. If you're not watching me on YouTube, you need to find it on YouTube because it's much better watching than it is listening. So with that, I'm going to take care. We will catch up with you guys next Sunday after Detroit plays the last game against Kansas City. And until then, go Tigers.